This is the Self-Storage Podcast, where we share the knowledge and skills from the industry's leading investors, developers, and operators to help you launch and grow your self-storage business. I'm your host, Scott Myers, and over the past 16 years, we have acquired, developed, converted, and syndicated over 2 million square feet of self-storage nationwide with the help of my incredible team at selfstorageinvesting.com, who has helped thousands of people achieve greatness in self-storage. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Self-Storage Podcast. I am your host, Scott Myers, and this week's guests are Tom Dunkel and Joe Downs with the Belrose Storage Group. Tom's background is in corporate finance, along with 25 years of real estate and investment experience, and has also taught classes on real estate and mortgage note investment at the CAMA Academy, and is also a graduate of the University of Delaware, where he earned his MBA at the College of William and Mary. Joe Downs brings years of commercial real estate experience to their company, specializing in mortgages and distressed debt, and a background as a licensed financial advisor with American Express Financial Advisors, Prudential Securities, and CapWest Securities. Now specializes in private mortgage investment management, commercial real estate financing, and alternative investment opportunities for the Belrose Storage Group. Joe is also a licensed realtor and attended Villanova University, where he majored in finance. Tom and Joe are both members of our self-storage mastermind and have developed a team of superstars that has allowed them to hit the ground running in self-storage and quickly scale to become a formidable player in our space, which is the focus of this episode. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with my partners, Joe Downs and Tom Dunkel. Tom and Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Glad to be able to catch up. And, I've given everybody a little bit of background and your bio and a little bit of your history, but you guys have been in business a long time before you got into self-storage. So if you would, why don't you fill in the gaps and talk about how you came to the place now where you have formed and now just absolutely killing it in the market with the Belrose Storage Group.
Sure. So at risk of going back too far, I actually started out my career in the corporate world and doing corporate finance and mergers and acquisitions in the aerospace industry, which was a fantastic foundation because I worked with some incredible people, former fighter pilots, former astronauts, and former Naval Academy Gold Glove boxers. And these folks went on to get their MBAs at Wharton and Harvard and all those fantastic schools. So early on, I was surrounded with some phenomenal people, and I was able to learn a heck of a lot from them, which gave me a great foundation to ultimately go out and start my own business, which kind of happened abruptly for me in 2006 when I got fired from my corporate job. And so in the end, it was a blessing in disguise because it was really the kick in the pants that I needed to get out of corporate America and go and start my entrepreneurial journey. So started out in residential real estate, doing the fix and flips and the wholesaling and the rentals and all that stuff that just ultimately didn't work out for me, especially because I started in 2006 and entered that great recession. And it was a rough few years of kind of getting my feet back underneath me. But it was around about that time that Joe and I connected in 2009, we met. And you want to fill in your blanks up to that point?
Yeah, a little bit different. I background in financial services and then sales, and then actually was finally where I was wanted to be in real estate, in the commercial real estate tenant in common 1031 exchange syndication business. And the whole industry fired all of us actually with the crash in 2008, which bled into 2009, and 1031 exchanges went from $4 billion a year down to a couple $100 million. So the whole kind of industry, a little niche industry, was kind of put out of business. So I found myself looking for what's the next step as well. And that's when Tom and I had a mutual friend. We met at the Pyramid Club, I believe it was. Sound like a married couple at this point. But and we just started talking about different kind of alternative investment ideas. And I think this was a tax lien seminar we were at, and realized we both live in Ardmore and Marion Gulf Manor, and two Irish guys weren't afraid, working from home, weren't afraid to meet for a beverage, if you will, to talk about business. So, that's how we met. Tom told me on one of these occasions that he was buying distressed, reperforming second mortgages. I thought he was nuts. He said, go to the seminar and see what you think. I went to it. I'll never forget. It was the first night of the World Series, Cliff Lee on the mound, Phillies, Yankees. And here I am at this seminar, and I came home and my mind was blown that night. I was, basically he was getting a 25% cash on cash return, and here I was raising, close to $93 million for 1031 exchanges at 6.5% to 8%. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with this? And I came home to him and I said, I think we can make a business out of this. And so we spent, and are still in, as a kind of side business at this point, the distressed debt business. And we had a nice long run there. And then 2015-ish, without getting too complicated, there were some regulations put on banks that disincentivized them from selling this distressed debt for a period of time. So we found ourselves looking around like, oh, here we are again, time to reinvent. What are we doing now? Hoping for this business to come back. And it was one of those, it was, I'm off camera there. It was a nice run. And then for us, and then what are we doing now? Tom started looking at multifamily, and I don't know how, but somehow I ended up I'm sure this guy bought a list of potential investors. And next thing you know, I'm getting these emails about self-storage and buy my course. So this looks interesting. I had some familiarity with multifamily and office, having raised a lot of money for it. So I said, oh, what the heck, let's take a look at this storage thing. It kind of seems like multifamily. At least that's what the marketing said. So I bought this self-study course and I read it all and it made a lot of sense, but I didn't know how to action it. And a period of time went by. And then next thing you know, I got another email that this guru in self-storage was going to be in Philadelphia for a 3-day academy. And I said, well, I already paid for it. Might as well go to this. And when I went to that academy, I met you for the first time. I'm sure you remember me. It was really mind-blowing. And I came back to Tom and said, listen, we need to start taking a look at this. And we started to take a look. And then some things turned for us in our other business that provided us with, I guess we'll say, liquidity to be able to really put an effort forth into storage. And
Solid came later.
Solid came through the master's. Well, there was an evolution. So there was this self-study course, which led to the academy, which led us to digging deeper and starting to do it on our own, and then realizing, like anything else we've done, we need help and coaching and mentors, and if you really want to, and partners. And that's where, as you know, we joined your mastermind group. I know this isn't supposed to be a commercial for that, but it's where we've met our current partner. It's where we met one of our advisors and consultants, where we met a great group of people that have helped us immensely along the way. And it really kickstarted us in the self-storage business.
Yeah, just to put a little color on that. I mean, we're finance and deal guys. We can tear apart a financial statement and really do that stuff and do the projections. And we can raise the capital too. But it was really the lead generation part was difficult for us initially. And so when we met Tim Kane at the mastermind, that was one of the pieces of the puzzle that we needed. And then the final piece was when we met Catherine East, and with her operational expertise, that really completed the picture for us. It gave us the confidence then to go out and start making realistic offers on properties. Because at that point, I think we were really undercutting, or almost like, total lowball offers all over the place. Of course, none of them were getting accepted.
Yeah, we kind of didn't know what we were doing, but we were close to knowing, but we really didn't know. The other thing that this conversation is just sparking memories for a bit. The other thing that it didn't happen overnight, but it was certainly the catalyst for where we are today. And I think part of this was talking to some of the other mastermind members like Fernando, the self-reflection and realization that if you want to be in this business, you really have to focus on this business. And we still had our distressed debt business, but we kind of have that run by one of our main employees, been with us for 12 years, and
we have the right team.
But if you recall, we were in the hard money lending business.
Wrong team.
Title business.
Wrong team.
It was, but all of these things that were taking up a lot of our time, preventing us from devoting ourselves to self-storage, weren't making us any money and weren't getting us anywhere. And it was really through all that and through, our partner, Tim Kane, and realizing like, hey, if there's a lot here, the world is our oyster, if you will. The world is our storage locker. If we apply ourselves and put the right people in the right seats and really move this forward. It wasn't until then, Scott, that, because I think you said in the intro that, we become rock star students. I don't know if I'd call us that, but we've really accelerated our business. I mean, the numbers don't lie. It was through that environment that allowed that to happen.
Well, and that was the focus that I wanted to spend more time on unpacking today, and having the two of you on. And as I look through your journey, as I've followed your journey, because I've been there at least on the storage side since the beginning. Truly, any time, and it's almost becoming more rare when our students. There's a lot of folks that come through our academy. There's a lot of folks that have the home study system. Many of them don't even take the plastic off of it and wonder why they're not successful. But you guys all along the way took the steps, took it seriously. And I do remember the first time I met you, Joe, at the academy, because you had that look on your face, and I think you had your hand on your chin maybe, but you were always looking at me for 3 days straight with this perplexed, skeptical look, as if, is this guy real?
Yeah.
That would be me.
That's Joe.
Oh, is all this stuff real? And you just standing there while everybody else was asking questions during the breaks as well. But that is one of the keys to your success. But the main one is the follow through and understanding, if I'm going to build a business, here's the things I need to do. And I need to be self-aware, and I need to, spend a little time in inflection and looking at, where are we strong? Where do we need help, and getting involved? And so, we put you with our best mentor that we have on our bench. And Jesse was absolutely 100% instrumental to taking you guys to the next level, and then helping you to build your team. But that is a skill set that you two already possess. You've built multiple successful businesses, which had now, as you said, had become distractions. But nevertheless, that's what I wanted to spend a little bit of time on. I think your success was your ability to understand that you need to build a team. If you're going to grow this to any kind of scale and get to the level where you want, it's not with just the two of you. It does take a team. And we talk about the ultimate 5-person self-storage team that you need, basically 5 roles, and you went out and immediately filled those seats on the bus with the right people. So talk a little bit about the process that you went through, how you did that, and why that's so important.
Pretty much every failure that we've had, because we've certainly had failures, have been because we had the wrong people, the wrong partners in place. But I think you learn, right? You live and learn. And so when we did get into the mastermind, we started meeting the folks there, and we started realizing through that experience where our shortcomings were and why we weren't growing and accelerating the way that we wanted to. It came down to the people, because we had certain skill sets and we were lacking these others. And so for us, it was just, finding people that have those skill sets that can help us get over a hump. And for the listeners out there, if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend reading Who, Not How.
I was just going to say, it's my new Bible.
Because really, when you come up against a problem in business or in life, you shouldn't think about, well, how can I fix this? Or how can I get around this? Or, how can I overcome this? You should be thinking about who can help me overcome this problem, because very few new problems in the world. There's people out there who have solved the problem that you're having. So instead of banging your head against the wall, trying to reinvent the wheel, whatever other metaphor you want to throw out there, go find those correct people. And so, like I mentioned earlier, for us, it was lead generation. We were having a hard time generating the quantity and quality of leads to build our self-storage business. So when we met Tim Kane, he came to us and said, "Hey guys, I'm generating all these leads. I don't know what to do with them. And I don't know how to underwrite." And so underwriting was like, right up our right.
I'll make the calls. Let's go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that just came together. And then we were like, oh, geez, now we've got these leads and we're making these offers. What's going to happen if someone accepts our offer? We have to close on one of these. We're going to need to raise the money, which we've done before in our other businesses. So that wasn't a huge problem for us. It was still a problem, not a huge problem. But then we're like, okay, well, how are we going to operate these things? Because we really need to run these. And, none of us are really going to, take the time to go, move to North Carolina to run a self-storage facility. So that's where Catherine and her team came in.
I was going to say, you skipped even underwriting it.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say one of my favorite analogies is, dog chases car, dog catches car. Now what? And we found ourselves in that situation. So Tim had the leads. I'd make the call, hang up, be like, guys, great news. This guy wants to sell. What do we do?
Right.
How do you underwrite this thing? How do we know what to offer? So we fumbled a few times there. Sure. And then Catherine came in and really solidified that for us.
And Scott, I think, going another layer or two deeper, Joe and I have been business partners for over 12 years now. I think, and we have a really strong relationship now with Tim and Catherine and Gretchen, who we haven't mentioned yet. She's our glue. She's been with us 9 years. As we've discovered along the way, but we've never really articulated until recently, we all have very similar core values. And so at a much deeper personal level, I think we connect in that way. So, we're all team players. We do what we need to do to get things done and overcome problems. We do things the right way for ourselves and for our investors and our other stakeholders, make sure to do that. And we grind, when a deal needs to close, we are grinding. We're, working late, we're working weekends. And when that deal closes, guess what? We're all going to go and, relax a little bit and take the pedal off the metal for at least a few minutes until the next deal pops up. But I think that as far as why our team is successful, I think that's a huge part of it is just the core values.
It's okay, Scott. I would just add to your who, not how concept, which I indicated was like my Bible. It feels weird to talk about your business. And I think we're on our way to success, but I look at it like a pyramid, right? So that mastermind where we met, and it wasn't the first one where we met Tim, it was the one where we realized that we could be each other's who's. He needed who's, right? He had some hows going on. He needed who's. We had hows. We needed who's. And it was the perfect kind of love triangle of who's there, right? If you're looking at the pyramid, to me, that was like the foundation. Mm-hmm. At each level, we constantly are like, all right, well, we should do this. Here's the idea. Great. Who's going to do it? And your first thought, and what I'm trying to get at, you have to truly use the who, not how concept. You have to have self-reflection and realize you're not the who. Just because you came up with the idea or, the concept of what needs to happen doesn't mean you're the right person to execute it. And we constantly are self-reflecting. I just had a great aha idea, light bulb, whatever you want to call it, this week. This is one of the most excited weeks I've ever had, because ideas I've had for 2 years are about to get actioned because I have failed for 2 years with them. And it's all because I have found the right who. And that's super exciting. I know it doesn't, probably the listeners are probably like, what is wrong with this guy? But honestly, it's a truly amazing feeling. We're like, wow, this is not only going to get done, it's off my plate, and I don't have to feel guilty about being the one that's not getting it done.
If you're already investing in self-storage and you're looking to grow and scale your business, then you need to join the Self-Storage Mastermind. We formed the industry's first mastermind back in 2010, and we stacked it with the one percenters across the country who specialize in acquisitions, development, and syndication. This exclusive group of storage rock stars meets once a quarter in private settings to combine business and VIP experiences that you won't find at any of the trade shows in Las Vegas or at the other copycat masterminds. So if you're looking to become part of an advanced community that openly shares best business practices, along with the largest pipeline of off-market deals and access to the top private equity resources, then you need to be in the room. So if you think you're a fit, then go to thestoragemastermind.com to apply. That's thestoragemastermind.com, and we'll see you on the inside. We make business more difficult than it has to be, and we entrepreneurs are all type A, and we're all cut from a very, very similar mold, and one of those is that, I have these ideas, and I'm the only one or the best one to be able to carry this out, and that's not always the case. So the more you do that self-inflection and getting to the place, as I've talked to my kids about for years, of just self-awareness and understanding your shortcomings, then it makes the who, not how really then easy to execute. Because if you've had those ideas, as you mentioned, Joe, for 2 years, why haven't they been bearing any fruit? And that's because you're unwilling to let it go. You have, and I'm not saying this to you, Joe, I'm speaking about myself and others, and maybe for those that are listening to maybe ask themselves that question. Well, there's probably somebody else that's better at it. And perhaps the reason why it hasn't bubbled to the surface and hasn't been executed upon or anything put into place is because you don't know how. You're scared of it, or you feel like you're too busy. It seems like too big of a task or a job, and you're not the right person. And so it gets put off to the next day and the next day and the next day. And then 1, 2, 3 years later, you recognize, hey, now it's time to put this into place. Or by that time, unfortunately, in many cases, somebody else beats you to the punch and they're knocking it out of the park in the market or in your own market because you failed to implement it. So
right.
Big fan of Dan Sullivan. He's taking a page out of his book, The Who Not How. I didn't know how to stop, get myself off the treadmill and the hamster wheel early on in my career. And I went to Dan Sullivan's program, that teaches entrepreneurs how to, set aside time for you first, and then schedule your business schedule time for you first, and then your family, and then your business afterwards, and setting up the plan. And I didn't know how to do that, so I went to Dan. I can't stand. I know a lot about property management. I know the proper ways of doing it, but I can't stand it. And that's the last the piece of the puzzle, that I focus on. And so, you know what? Yeah, we'll handle this issue, challenge, initiative in the property management side of the business later. Now, Now it's time to hire somebody, either a consultant to help or somebody to just take this over and get it off my plate, because my strong suit is over here in raising capital or whatever that may be. So self-awareness is a big key to all of this, and probably the first step. And then, as you also mentioned, core values. We've rolled through in every seat on that bus early on, probably 2 or 3 people before we recognize that, what, just because they've got a strong resume doesn't mean they're the right fit or the right person for our organization. We'll hire on the core values, and they have to match and not disrupt things in the business, and then we'll teach them the skill set afterwards. And that is also another key component to building a team that gets off the ground and continues to run very quickly. And again, you guys have done a masterful job at that. Tell us a little bit about, if you would, just share, once you had the team in place, what did that look like then, and how did that rhythm really begin to catch speed and steamroll and bring us up to speed as to where you are now?
Yeah, great question. So we were looking at EOS, the Entrepreneur's Operating System. We'd all read Traction. We interviewed Implementer. And it was, certainly very interesting to us. And then Tom suggested a business school. A friend of his was in a similar business mentoring program called Pinnacle, and they're very similar. We interviewed them both. We felt more comfortable with the flexibility, our size of company with Pinnacle, which not commercial for Pinnacle either, but it pulls, different systems, tools, habits from, it might be something from Who Not How or EOS or some other, book or system or tool. But the concept is the same. You put people in the right seats, you identify who is what role, who fits where. Core values was a big part of that. So we finally laid out a structure, because at one point we were all calling leads. It's like, well, how does that work? Right. So now it's very simple. I'm on the front end in acquisitions. Tom runs the group that does the underwriting. Tim runs the group that does the property management and physical improvements, et cetera. So, I think having that system, and it's not completely in place, and we're not done, by the way. I think it's always going to be a work in progress. We're way better off than where we were a year ago, and a year from now, we'll probably look different than we do today. And we understand that and accept that. But I think that was the catalyst for the growth. We stumbled into the first 2. In fact, this is a great story. During all of that, as we're deciding which system we're going to use and how we're going to do this, and we had one org chart that looked very different than the org chart we're operating under today. But in either case, we'd already closed on 2 facilities by this point. And the org chart now had me still handling acquisitions, but also from acquisition to closing. And we got our, Schedule B? Schedule whatever, the due diligence checklist that I forget what schedule number it is. That's part of the contract. And I remember looking at it going, holy what? And then I grabbed Gretchen and an employee's no longer with us in the room. And I said, all right, let's figure this out together. And the 3 of us, as we went through it, now it turns out it's not all that daunting, but it was new. And the 3 of us looked at each other and said, and we organized it. Sorry, that's part of the story. We organized the whole thing. We switched things around. We're like, well, this makes more sense. We spent, I think, a day and a half on how to do this successfully going forward, because we had planned on having multiple facilities and maybe multiple transactions going on at the same time. And when we were done, I was like, all right, I feel like I'm in a good place and they can handle it. Told Tom and Tim, and I was like, because I wasn't really involved in that level of detail with the first 2 facilities. I looked at them like, how did you guys close on those facilities with 0 organization? Absolutely none. Yeah. And they both kind of looked at it like, thank God for our attorney. He pretty much handled it all. Was quarterback the whole thing. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah. So
now we've shifted over to, we have an accountability chart, which anyone who's read Traction is familiar with that concept. And so Joe's area of responsibility is acquisitions, and he gets everything up to the LOI. Once the LOI is done, it flips over to me and my team. We handle the underwriting, the debt raise, and the capital raise, and all the compliance and contracts associated with that. Once we close, then it kicks over to Tim's team, and he's in charge of the transition and the operations, and then ultimately the disposition. And then Gretchen, who we've mentioned before, our chief of staff, she's just the glue. She makes sure that we have the tools that we need, that we can be productive, and she helps to hold everyone accountable by running our level 10 meeting on Tuesday mornings.
Mm-hmm. And is instrumental in the closing process.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's transaction coordinator as well.
Well, We can never underestimate systems in the business. And to take a page out of another book, Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, systems run the business and we manage and tweak the systems. And once you have those in place, that makes all the difference. But it still requires people, seats on the bus, the accountability chart, the right people. And as business owners, as we're adding people to our team, it's a difficult impasse that we find ourselves in, which is, do we hire based upon the fact that, the 4, the 5, the 6 team members that I have right now are about ready to quit because they're so overloaded and working 50 hours a week that now we think we can afford to add, one more person in headcount? Or do you decide that I'm going to add headcount because I'm preparing for growth and I don't want to have a disruption or miss out on opportunities because we're not staffed enough and we don't have a team to be able to handle, what happens if our marketing produces a portfolio of 3, 5 facilities, and then we have to do all that due diligence, and then
Right.
Tom has to go out and raise even more capital. And it's that age-old, back and forth that we as entrepreneurs, wrestle with, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. Tell us how you've approached that. And is it an either or? Have you at times waited too long, or did you have that self-awareness and recognize, hey, I can see what's coming down the pike and we need to staff up? Talk us through that process.
We've approached it the wrong way. We've lived through everything you just said. One funny story was when we lived through 3 closings at once. Gretchen probably wanted to take the rest of the year off after that. We said, we've got to go out and address this. We put out a job description. We interviewed people. And during the interview process, we realized we're not interviewing for the right job. It was kind of funny. Like, these people are great, but I don't think this is the right need. What they're bringing to the table. We've gone through different iterations of that, and we are now. And so your chicken or the egg question. What do you do first? Do you bust at the seams, or do you prepare for growth? And I would hearken back to Dan Sullivan again, who says, and this I believe is what we're doing right now, we're in the process of doing, is employees are not expenses, they're investments. So we are moving in the direction of hiring someone that's going to see a return on investment for us to help grow the company and be prepared for growth, because we plan on growing, not instead of trying to burst at the seams, make mistakes, lose deals, lose credibility in the marketplace, whatever, all the bad things that can come out of that. So
Yeah, that's my biggest fear, Scott, is we fail to close on a deal. We let our investors down. We let our lender down. We let our seller down. Something bad happen. I mean, that if I had to point to one thing that just keeps me up at night, that would be it. So yeah, I would say we're looking to shore up our different positions. And Joe and I were talking at lunch today how a year from now, we'd really like to have ourselves replaced so that we can enjoy next summer instead of working hard all summer. But I think we said that last summer and maybe even the summer before that as well. But
now we
just keep getting ourselves in trouble with growing new businesses. But no, I think that's ultimately where we'd like to get. And it does take capital, and you do have to think of employees as investments.
Said differently, for years, we have been creating more work and jobs for ourselves. Today at lunch, we're talking about how, all right, we're in a place now with, thanks to these books and people we've met at masterminds and different business mentors, we see how it can be done and should be done. And we are, to harken back to what you just said a minute ago, we now are putting the systems in place so that we can tweak the systems, which will allow us to hopefully enjoy a little more of next summer than we will this summer. But
yeah, my wife is also tired of me saying, well, I this is just a season that we're going through right now, honey. It's just it's a growth period, and then once we get beyond this, and 15 years later, she's deaf to that, tone deaf to that statement. So, to your point, yes, payroll. When you look at the investment in people, it should be just that. And it was our CPA who did come to our mastermind that was talking about some of these KPIs and measurements that we should be looking at on an ongoing basis, not just at the end of the year. And one of those that he had mentioned to me, which gave me a baseline and completely gave me a complete different mind shift on how to approach our staff, is that we should be receiving a 4 to 5x return on every staff member that we add to our team. And I wrestled with that, and I thought, well, not everybody is income producing. I mean, what about the executive assistant, or what about this and that? But then when you begin to look at it, all you're doing is you're looking back historically, and when you added this headcount, what did that mean? Well, when you add an executive assistant doing the day to day that that Tom was doing, or that Joe was doing, or that somebody else in a key role was handling, now they're freed to go out and pursue other opportunities, or to get to those things, the ideas that we've had for 2 to 3 years. And it's hard to see when it's in front of you. That is a rear view mirror number. But that also has been an incredible way for us to look at adding staff, and recognizing that we are no longer going to wait until we bust at the seams before we add somebody, because we know that not just are things busting at the seams, but we're missing opportunities, or it's a delay. Any delays in our business, as you know, is expensive. If we have to pay to extend a closing, or pay to extend this, or if interest rates go up and we are too slow to lock in, speed is the name of the game, and it's costly. And so if you don't have a well-oiled machine, where nothing is falling through the cracks and there are no delays, then it's time to add headcount.
That's the lesson that we're learning, and it's easier said than done, especially right now. The labor market is super tight. We've been trying to hire for a couple of positions for a while now, and we just haven't been able to find the people. So that's been a little frustrating. But we just need to, again, just keep grinding, just keep working together, and to get there.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, as we end our time together here, again, I appreciate you taking the time out to share a little bit about your history, your past, and how you built your team. If there's anything that either one of you would say, words of wisdom, or the pearl that you could give to Storage Nation out there as they're growing and scaling and building their team, what might that be?
I would say just set your goals and just keep going. There's all this talk right now about recessions and headwinds and higher interest rates and higher cap rates. Well, guess what? We're still out there. We're still aggressively, making offers, acquiring facilities. The beautiful thing about self-storage is it's the exact right asset class for where we're at right now. And it's going to weather whatever storm is coming. Some people say it's going to be mild. Some people, say maybe not so mild, but we generate the cash flow, and we're not over leveraging, and we're focused on operations because we can control operations. We can't control interest rates, cap rates, et cetera. And that gives us optionality for some future exit or not exit, depending on what's happening with our portfolio. We're focused on operations and what we can control, and just keep getting after it. That would be my pearl of wisdom.
What's the favorite mastermind quote? I don't think I've ever been to a mastermind without hearing it, which is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Because I think that if you think about it, that is telling you, that doesn't mean go get partners, right? But it's telling you need help. You can't do everything yourself, or you're not going to go very far. So, that's the who, not how concept. That's the mastermind concept, if you will. It's mentorship concepts. They're all included in that expression. So if you take that to heart and find out what that means for you, you'll plug and play. Maybe it's just who, not how. That's all you need. Or maybe it's just a mastermind. That's all you need. But if you take that to heart, I think that will propel you forward better, faster than anything else.
Wise and sage advice from a couple of savvy business owners that are doing this with several businesses, and now, again, just doing it very, very well in self-storage. So, Tom, Joe, I appreciate you guys' time today. And you guys have built an incredible business and growing and scaling, and you're acquiring facilities. You're also selling off facilities. You're syndicating, multiple, different areas within self-storage that you are finding ways to make money. So if people want to learn a little bit more about what you do, maybe take a peek under the hood, what's the best way for them to be able to contact you?
Sure. Of course, we can be reached at our website, which is www.belrosestoragegroup.com. That's BELROSE group.com. And I would encourage folks to go there. We do have a free resource there for investors. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to give us your name, your email, or anything. It's just available there on our website. And what it is, it's a due diligence framework, Scott, so that, hardworking, high net worth investors, that might be, doctors, lawyers, whomever, that, maybe they're wanting to get into self-storage and other alternative asset classes, but they're just not sure how to go about looking at a deal. This ebook gives them a framework to do their analysis and decide if they can sleep at night investing in this opportunity. So it's called the S.A.F.E Method. Just real quick, S.A.F.E is an acronym. S.A.F.E, S is for sponsor. So the ebook gives a list of questions to ask about your sponsor. Who's running the deal? What's their background? Are they criminals? Do they have a solid track record in this asset class, etc.? A is for asset. What is the asset that you're investing in? If you do a deal with us at Bell Road Storage Group, you're going to be buying membership interests in an LLC that owns a self-storage facility. So there's a series of questions to ask about the asset that you're investing in. F is for financials. What are the financial characteristics of this deal? What are the projections? Are they realistic? What are the returns? Does this fit into my investment criteria, et cetera? And E is for exit. How do I get out of this thing? It's not like you can go to schwab.com and click, sell your membership interests in a Bell Road Storage Group deal, because you're going to be locked up in that deal for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And you need to know that going in and be comfortable with that. So again, it's a free resource. You can use it to invest in self-storage, multifamily, whatever other asset classes you might be looking at. But one of the things we really like to do is give back to the investor community, just try to help people. So that's a freebie on our website. You can also sign up for our investor portal there if you're so inclined to be interested in our upcoming investment opportunities.
Or just to follow what we've been doing.
Yeah, or just to follow.
In our previous deals. BellroseStorageGroup.com.
Yep.
Awesome, gentlemen. And the S.A.F.E acronym is absolutely in order of importance as well. So job well done. If you're going to be investing passively with any syndicated promoter, as Tom just mentioned, that comes first. So you need to know who you're investing with, their experience level. Then the asset class, which of course we're biased, but this is the most recession-proof asset class. Then you need to dig into and understand the financials, and then understand, hey, how long am I in this for, and how am I going to exit? So well done, gentlemen. I appreciate your time once again, Tom and Joe. So looking forward to also seeing you at the next mastermind. So once again, thanks, gang, and Storage Nation. We will catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey gang, wait, 3 things before you leave. First, don't forget to subscribe to the Self Storage Podcast and turn on your notifications so you never miss another episode. And while you're there, please leave us a 5-star review if you like the show. Second, be sure to share your favorite episodes and more via Instagram, and don't forget to tag us. And lastly, head to the links in the show description and hit the follow and subscribe button on Twitter and Facebook to get a front row seat as we grow and scale our business and bring you along with us. Take care.